Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and so ran into a couple of retro games at GameStop. Nothing to write home about, but a couple of retro gems that I wasn't really expecting to find. And mind you, I found these at a non-retro GameStop. So the first game that I picked up was Super Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. The label on this was actually in really good condition. I gotta admit, I was pretty impressed at the condition of the label, because not usually, actually, to be quite honest with you, a lot of times the labels on these games that come from GameStop are really in good condition. I gotta be honest. I've only had a couple games come where like the label was like ripped or damaged. But pick this one up. This was they had this on sale for $18.99. I got the pro member discount, which is like 5%, so that's nothing. But ultimately, I think this game price charting showed that this game is around 25 bucks, which was kind of shocking, honestly, for Super Street Fighter. It's just Super Street Fighter. I know that there are a number of these that GameStop has. They have Super Street Fighter, they have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, they have just a regular Street Fighter 2. One of the games that I saw on their website that I tried to buy was Street Fighter Alpha 2. I tried to buy that a couple months back, and what I got in the mail was actually a copy of Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So that was a bummer, but it is what it is. This is still cool to find in the store, though. Actually, this wasn't on a shelf or anything. I was just in there, and one of the workers there, they kind of know that I usually like buy older games, and I just asked. They had a N64 game in their hand, and I asked if they had any other retro, and she pulled this game out. So I was pretty stoked to see this one. I picked this one up, and then they also had this copy of Cruisin' World. Now this definitely is a nostalgia buy. I remember when my cousins first got the N64 back in the 90s, in the early to mid 90s, and they got Cruisin' World, and we'd play a little bit of Smash. We'd play Mario Kart Racing, and then we'd switch over to Cruisin' World. And when we were done with all of those three games, the last game of the night was the one game that I always got my butt kicked in, which was Warzone. I think back then it was still WWF. So WWF Warzone, that was the one with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the cover. And I remember we used to play that game for hours, and I just could never get good in that game for whatever reason. Oh, I'm forgetting one, GoldenEye, of course. If you were a kid and you grew up in the 90s and you had cousins and you were into couch co-op play, GoldenEye was a must. So we had that in our rotation: Cruisin' World, Mario Kart Racing, Smash, Warzone, and GoldenEye. And we'd stay up pretty much all night playing those four games, just in a rotation. So this was definitely a nostalgia play, and was glad to actually pick this one up. So just two more retro finds at GameStop. They're selling them. At the end of the day, they are trying to sell these games, and I don't know if these two games were games that were traded in, if these were games that came from a warehouse. I don't know how that particular store got these games in their inventory, but they did, and they were willing to sell it to me. They also had some other games there. I think they had some Mega Man games. I've never really been into the Mega Man Battle Network games. I've just never been able to get into those games. Mega Man X for sure. Even just the regular Mega Man, like Mega Man's 1, or Mega Men. Is it Mega Man? Mega Man, however you say it. But Mega Man 1 through 8, definitely a fan of those, but was just never into the Battle Network series. I'm even a fan of Mega Man X Command Mission. Just couldn't get into the Battle Network stuff. So that is what I got there. Also, in some other news, was glad to finally get the replacement cover art for Rapid Reload. So what I did was I decided to keep the original cover art there, and I just put the replacement cover art behind this one. So this cover art here is original to the game, As you can see, it has a little bit of folding damage there from years of just being folded, I guess. And then the art on the back is also the original cover art for the back of the game. So that is still the original. What's not original are the side panels. So the rapid reload that you see on the sides, those are the reprints or the reproduction labels that I have here. Just wanted to be able to complete this so that when I put it on a shelf, it does look complete. But these PAL games are pretty hefty. The cases are so much more hefty than the NTSC. And Rapid Reload is not the only game that I plan on getting. There are a couple other ones that I want to add to the collection, including a game called Crisis Beat. Someone recommended another PAL game to me in the comments. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I'm going to be adding a few PAL games here to the collection, just to my import collection. I've already got a bunch of Japanese import games on the Saturn. I may look into getting some Japanese import games for the PlayStation 1 too. It just depends, but Rapid Reload was definitely one I wanted to get. In other news, Strictly Limited actually opened up pre-orders for a game that's going to be releasing on September 25th, and it's got a very weird name, but it's called Iron Meat. But it essentially is kind of like a Contra clone. It's pretty much you're a soldier, you're running, you're gunning through different stages. You have a vast array of weaponry to take your foes down, and it follows that same like 16-bit graphical style. So I don't do a lot of Switch pickups, but that one may be one that I'll have to add to the Switch collection. Also, there are a few Switch games that I am regretting that I sold. One of them being Steel Assault. I really want to get that one back into my Switch collection. That's just a very cool retro style game. I do have the digital download, so when I want to play it, I can still play it. But I do want to get that physical copy back into my collection. Finally, I am a bit bummed with some of what I'm hearing the promotions are supposed to be during GameStop's Pro Week. As I suspected, they pretty much took away the buy two get one, so that's gone. And I don't know if this is something that they're going to be doing moving forward. I don't know if we're ever going to see a buy two get one again, or if they're just going to reserve buy two get one deals for like Christmas and Thanksgiving, like they're just going to save those for the end of the year. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but it's September. We've got, 3 months left in the year pretty much. And for this Pro Week, which is supposed to be lasting 2 weeks, there's no buy two get one promotion on pre-owned games. It's all on like accessories and Funko Pops and all this other nonsense, which GameStop seems to be moving towards. It kind of seems like they're getting away from actual video games, and like half the store is like, more of the store is made up of other stuff than video games. It's like, Magic the Gathering and like Pokemon cards and like costumes and hats and pictures and Funko Pops and action figures. It's just turning into like a toy store, really. So I'm a little confused by that, but yeah, these promotions are pretty lackluster, and the best thing that I think I'm going to be able to get out of it is really just being able to trade in some consoles and some games that I no longer want to have, that I no longer play. So that's probably going to be my strategy this time around. Don't get me wrong, if they do have like games that I want to get, I'll still purchase them because I'm still buying the retro games that they have that I want to buy. Getting 10% off will be nice, I guess, but it's definitely not going to be the same as the buy two get one. So it's clear that they are tightening their belt and finding more creative ways to give you less deals as the consumer. Also, I think that this is pretty interesting because I feel like, and I've said this before, I feel like a new floor has been set for values. We're about 4 years removed from 2020. We're 4 years removed from the height of everything. And I think it's kind of safe to say that this is the new floor for video games. I can't really see the price of most video games dropping, 30%, 40% unless it was a game that was just crazy inflated to begin with. But I think the price for most retro games are what they're going to be for the foreseeable future. Um, with the fact that the Fed has now announced that they're going to be cutting interest rates, that obviously means that there's going to be more money pushed into the economy. What that means for jobs and people's ability to spend, and people's ability to waste money, basically, or use their disposable income on video games. We don't know how that's all going to be impacted. But I think when you just look at the market for just collectibles and just non-essentials like video games and toys and stuff, I think the prices that we see are what they're going to be. So if there's something that you're trying to get, now is probably a good as time of a time as any to try to see if you can get a deal on it. But that's all I got. Hopefully you've been able to pick up some find some good retro games. If you've been able to pick anything up, let me know. It's the Y2K Collector. I will see you tomorrow.